It's the top of the hour, 6 o'clock in the Eastern Caribbean, 5 o'clock in Jamaica, and we're continuing now with cricket. And this innings talks about the West Indies looking to maintain their unbeaten record at the ICC World Cup Qualifiers in Zimbabwe, albeit just one game so far. They faced Nepal in their second match on Thursday. The Windies won their first encounter against the United States of America on Sunday to tie with Zimbabwe atop Group A. However, the hosts became sole leaders after their 6-wicket win over the Netherlands on Tuesday. Skipper Shai Hope spoke to the media ahead of the fixture.
We can't control what oppositions do. We can't control what other teams in the competition do. For us, I can understand the concerns looking on from the outside, but we have to play what we see. We have to play the day, because some days other teams will obviously give us a more challenging fight. But I can't say that we need to worry too much about that game. That game's in the past. We need to look ahead. Obviously, we need to make sure we're playing more clinical games. Agreed. But that's in the past. Let's just learn from the mistakes that we made in the last game and move on.
Yeah, the 29-year-old Hope spoke about Coach Sammy's impact in the dressing room as well.
The main focus has been really on the mindset. We know that in the Caribbean we have a lot of talent, and players tend to come from grassroots level and just be naturally good. But the main thing is getting that mindset to be more positive, understanding that we have the assets that we need to be an elite team. And that's one thing I could say he brought to the dressing room already. He's really given us that positive vibe that we've asked for. And hopefully we can continue this stead and create that elite performing team that we're looking for.
Yeah, good words coming from the players so far on Sammy's impact on the team. Hope says he'd like to see improvement from the Windies, though.
I think the middle order has been the biggest concern for us of late. But again, all of our batters need to pull the weight. We need to take full responsibility with the bat and give our bowlers the best opportunity to finish games. Again, if we get a good start with two openers by the entire innings, then we don't have to worry about the middle. But yeah, like I said, we have to take full responsibility as a batting group and make sure we get those big totals on the board. And if we're chasing, to score the runs in a more convincing manner.
Yeah, the Barbadian also responded to assistant coach Carl Hooper's comments about the decline of West Indies cricket.
I see it as a positive remark, to be fair. I think that we've put ourselves in this position and everyone knows that. And to me, it's only one way forward from here. And as long as we understand that as a group, that's the start, really and truly. Like, we need to understand that we put ourselves in this situation and we need to make sure we get out these qualifiers and show the world that West Indies is a team to really be reckoned with.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Shai Hope had a discussion with Fazir Mohammed, who a couple of days ago did suggest that Carl Hooper was pretty honest and factual with what he said. Faz, welcome to the SportsMax Zone. Always great to have you on this 90-minute show. Pretty much Shai Hope's comments mirroring some of what you said a couple of days ago, Faz.
Yeah, we didn't have any discussion. Don't worry about that at all. But yeah, I mean, you have to be mature about it rather than get upset and get worked up about, we need to get only the positive and so on. As he said quite correctly, nobody has put the West Indies in that position of being in a qualifier for the second time in consecutive World Cups than the West Indies. So it's really up to the West Indies, not just to win, but win convincingly, because he made that reference to an elite team. The fact that the West Indies are in the qualifiers for the second tournament running means that we are not an elite team, and consistently we are not an elite team. So really it's about stepping up a gear. Yes, there's a win against the USA, but the game against Nepal should be another interesting encounter to really show whether that sense of urgency, that willingness to dominate and to really show that the West Indies are capable of being a class apart. It's really going to be quite revealing to see how things go tomorrow, God willing.
Anything else from the captain jumping out at you, Faz? He did suggest that Sammy is offering some positivity that they've asked for, and he also accepted that the team needs to improve, especially in the batting and the middle order.
Well, the thing is, Lance, we've heard this all before. We've heard about putting the performance, the last match behind us and moving forward. We've heard about the positive talk. We've heard about issues that need to be sorted out. Well, let's see the results. And I think that's what the West Indies fans are sort of like grown disillusioned about. We hear all the talk. And that's fine, because you expect your captain, your coach, your key players to exude a level of positivity, but we want to see it translated into results. If I could draw a reference, again, Jason Holder making that point in responding to the criticism made by Carl Hooper about the team generally and West Indies cricket generally, said that we have our processes. We just need to do the things right and execute. Well, again, those processes and those executions clearly have not brought about the transformation that West Indies fans want or expect, because, again, qualification in 2018, qualification in 2023, and we know the whole T20 story as well over the last two tournaments. So the facts tell us something different. Let's see now if this game against Nepal is going to show anything meaningfully different as far as the attitude and the willingness of the players to step it up again.
Yeah, really look forward to see what happens in that game tomorrow, Faz. Like so many across the Caribbean, I wasn't impressed with the performance against the United States of America, but the captain has said we should leave that in the past and focus on this game that's coming up. What type of challenge, from what you know of this Nepal team, how difficult of a challenge are you expecting them to be for the West Indies tomorrow?
Well, certainly the Nepalese have a decent batting lineup, because from what we saw in their first couple of matches, they got almost 300 in the opening encounter against Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe chased that down, and the Zimbabweans are riding high at the moment, 2 wins and 2. We see as well that the Irish, 2 losses in 2. That's been a bit of a surprise on the other side of things in this qualifying stage of this tournament. But also in that match against the USA just yesterday, they needed to get a target of 210. They got it with only 4 wickets down and with overs to spare. So again, that suggests that their batting is a little bit better than decent. It may not be the most dominant batting lineup that you'd ever encounter, but it suggests that the West Indies bowlers will have to be focused on their game properly if they're not going to leak a lot of runs. And we mentioned Alzarri Joseph being off the boil in the match against the Americans. And when it comes to the Nepalese bowling, I was surprised that their key man Sandeep Lamichan was so expensive in their match against the Zimbabweans, and that is going to be a concern for them. But their seamers at the top were quite successful. So overall, because they are generally an unknown quantity, but the fact that they've been on this fantastic run, a lot has been written about this Nepalese team over the last 5 or 6 months, and it's been described as a dream run to get to this qualifying stage. And certainly they'll be on a high, taking on a team like the West Indies. I'm sure many people in Nepal, many people growing up admiring West Indies cricket, probably would have never even fathomed the idea of their national team taking on the West Indies in any format for that matter.
Yeah, of course, Shai Hope pointed out at today's press conference that there is a lot to improve on going forward in this tournament. He also confirmed that it's unlikely Yannick Correa will play because of his injury. If Alzarri Joseph does not fire like he didn't do against the United States of America, are you concerned that we may look a little short in the bowling department?
I wouldn't say overly concerned, because I think there's enough quality in the bowling department anyway. But really, we shouldn't be having this discussion about players being off the boil and not really being up for it, because what more do you want other than the utter humiliation of the West Indies not getting to a World Cup, to a Cricket World Cup? I mean, surely that in itself is enough motivation for the players to be fired up, whether it's Alzarri Joseph or anyone else. And if we're talking about specifics, when we talk about the batting, I again referenced when I made that point about urgency and aggressiveness and aggression, runs per 100 balls or strike rates. It's imperative for the West Indies batting lineup. Every single person in that lineup. Nicholas Pooran has a decent strike rate. Roston Chase, just about one run per ball in the course of his one inning so far. But overall, it's imperative for the West Indies batting lineup to get up to speed with what is now accepted at the highest level of the game, because we're not going to get anywhere near to elite standard if we keep laboring around at 75, 80 runs per 100 balls.
Yeah, all right. Let's have a different conversation then, Faz, because I don't think we've spoken much about the format of this tournament. In many ways, reminds me of the format that would have been used for the 1999, 2003, and I think 2007 World Cups as well. So you have the group stage. Top three move forward to a Super Six, but importantly, you take forward with you the points from the teams who have advanced to that stage as well into the Super Six stage. No semi-finals here, but you will have a championship match. So the top two from the Super Six phase will play a championship match. And of course, by virtue of being in the final two, they would have qualified for the World Cup. Your thoughts on the format?
I think we've lost Faz.
This is the second time this week Faz has frozen on me, Lance. Or is it the second time in a week?
I think he's back now. Let's try.
Faz, are you back? Is it something I said again?
Well, maybe it is. At least you didn't reference this time me being owned by SportsMax in that sense. But yes, that happened last week. So don't blame me for freezing twice in a week. It was last week. This time, hopefully, the Wi-Fi connection will be on its best behavior. But in talking about the format of the tournament, which I think is what you were focusing on, I think the early group, this stage, makes it easier for teams to get in because it's 5 teams in the group and the top 3 move on. So you really have to play badly not to get into the Super 6 stage. And that's why for the West Indies, it's about winning comprehensively, defeating everyone. So then you take all the points with you into the Super 6. And that therefore makes it easier to get into the top 2 because it's all about finishing in the top 2. Whoever wins the qualifier final, it's merely academic, it's just for bragging rights and so on. But yes, the format of this tournament makes it easier for the quality team, for want of a better term, to get into the Super 6 at least and possibly take maximum points into the Super 6, which we hope that the West Indies will be able to do.
Yeah, it makes it easier to get into the Super 6, but it does put some amount of pressure on the teams in that you almost have to win every game because you don't know, especially in the initial stages, who will advance with you. And because you only take the points of the teams that also advance to the Super 6 stage, then you essentially, the thought process has to be we have to win every game, and there's really no dead rubber.
And that's why I made the point when we were having our discussion prior to this tournament, that the West Indies should be approaching every match as a final. Because we should not even be contemplating an easy match or a match where you could take it a bit easier because that doesn't exist. The West Indies are already enduring the humiliation for a second consecutive World Cup cycle of having to go through qualification. So that in itself should ensure that the West Indies should be supremely motivated to show that, look, we've fallen off from the dizzying heights that we once inhabited, but we still have that residual quality and we're going to make it show. So it really should not matter to the West Indies who they're playing, who's getting points as well, who's going to qualify from the next group. They should be of the mindset that every match is a final because the reputation of West Indies cricket continues to be at stake every time the men's team takes the field.
Yeah, that is for sure. And what does matter, Faz, is the start time for that match against Nepal. I'll be up at 2 a.m. Jamaica time. That's 3 a.m. in Trinidad and Tobago. I know you'll be wide awake. Lance is always wide awake, so he'll be at the go, ready to watch the West Indies perform, right, Lance?
If you say so. Faz, I'm not sure if Faz will be up either. Paz, will you?
I'll try my best to. I'm now learning that Ricardo, as young as he is the boss of this place. So I've already been put on notice that I have to be up at 3 o'clock East Caribbean time tomorrow.
Take a break. We'll be back on the SportsMax Zone.
Stay with SportsMax on YouTube and follow us on all social pages for updates, news and entertainment.